While we are waiting for Zarko, he is already online. Zarko is Master Sengyen, Western Dharma hair. We will have a session with him within a short moment. We will ask Zarko to lead the eight movement, and then the sitting session about 30 minutes. And then after that, Zarko will give a Dharma talk. And friends who want to ask questions, you can write it down in the chat. And if possible, please open your video, but just take it easy. If you want to, if you need to go to washroom, you need to do something, just take care of yourself. It's okay. But Zarko prefer you to open your video, please. Zarko, please.
Hello, August.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Just a second, please.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. So do we hear each other now?
Yes. That's
good. Wonderful. 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 So are you all okay? I heard the terrible news coming from Indonesia.
Yes. But yeah, so far so good. We are okay.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, I know how it is. You know, we had also earthquakes recently here, so it's a terrible situation. You know, and they're so strong that houses are destroyed and people die and so on. Yeah.
You know, in my hometown also it happens. About 14 years ago here in my hometown, with 5,000 casualties. People died.
Oh, 5,000.
5,000. 5,500.
That's terrible. That's terrible. That's unbelievable. Well, yeah, it's difficult time for everyone, it seems. Okay, so what's our plan for today?
Please, you lead us with. Actually, what usually you do in your center? Do you usually just sit directly, or you also do or also do some?
I don't hear you very well.
Sorry. In the center, what
Do you Do you also do some pray, exercise or yoga or something like that? Also like
What do we do? What do we do here?
yes.
Well, more or less, we have the same procedure, you know, as we did last time. So before meditation, usually we do these 8 chant movements, and then we do the 3 prostrations, and then we sit. And after sitting, I either give a talk or we stay talking, you know, answering questions and so on. So it varies. It's not always the same. So we can do maybe the same today. So I can start with exercises and as the last time, as we did last time, and then half an hour sitting, and then talk. Okay. All right. Good. So I will need some time to reorganize things here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so do we hear each other? All right. We can do now 3 prostration. Start with the bow. So it is 30 minutes, is it? Okay. So we will start first by movements of our heads. So very gently, we circle with our heads 3 times on one side, one direction. Be aware of the movement, of the sensation in your neck. And change direction. Slowly and gently. And bring your head into the center. Now place your palms on the abdomen and you can breathe 3 times. Inhale and exhale deeply. Now join your palms and place them in your lap. Now first we'll start with relaxation. And we'll start as usual from our head all the way down to the feet. So we can begin by relaxing our forehead and temples first. So simply feel the whole area, be aware of the whole area of your temples and forehead. And if you notice any tension there, simply release the tension, relax the whole area. And from there we move down, trying to be aware of our eyes, our eyeballs. And again, relax the whole area of your eyes. Simply leave your eyes to rest, completely relaxed. And now we move to our lower face. So be aware of the whole area of your lower face and relax all the muscles there. Now we will leave our heads with this pleasant feeling of relaxation, and we move to our neck and shoulders. So first be aware of the whole area of your neck and shoulders and relax the whole area. And we will continue by becoming aware of your upper arms, then lower arms, hands, so become aware of your arms all the way from the shoulders up to the fingertips. And if you still notice any tension present in your arms, simply relax them. So we are now leaving our arms in this relaxation state, and we move to the chest area. So be aware of the whole area of your chest and release all the tension you find there. And from there we move to our lower abdomen. And again, first of all, be aware of the whole area of your lower abdomen. And if you see that your muscles are tensed there, that you are holding your stomach muscles tensed, simply let go of the tension, relax the whole area of your lower abdomen. Now from there we move to upper back. So relax all the muscles of your upper back now. And now relax all your muscles of your lower back as well. And then relax the muscles of your buttocks. And now you can simply imagine how this pleasant feeling of relaxation enter your legs. First, upper legs, then lower legs, and the feet. Now from parts we are moving back to whole, so be aware of your whole body sitting there and simply try to relax your whole body at once. Just surrendering the weight of your body to this vertical line. Simply relax your whole body. And now we can leave our body to cushion. We don't need to deal with it anymore. The body is relaxed. It is still. And we can move our mind to breathing and simply start by enjoying your breath. Feel the rhythm of your breathing. And for a while we can continue by simply enjoying every breath. Staying with this rhythm, feeling this rhythm of breathing. But in the same time, we are not influencing the breathing process. We are simply allowing our body to breathe on its own. in its own rhythm. You're simply aware of it. And after a while, you can proceed by your own method of practice, whatever that method is, following the breath, counting the breath, auto, silent illumination, whatever you normally do, you continue on your own until you hear the bell. So, we left our body to cushion, and now we can give our minds to method of practice. Simply being present, being clear, making our minds bright and clear. Now you can continue on your own. And stretch your legs a little bit. Okay, so I received your message, Agus, with your suggestion. And if I'm not wrong, I think you suggested me to talk today about silent illumination. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I will just need a short break. I have to drink something because my mouth is very dry. So in a minute or two, I'm coming back. Okay? I don't have anything with me. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your patience. All right. I don't know how many of you practice silent illumination already. I guess quite a number of people do so. Is it?
Yes. We have a few silent illumination retreat several years ago with Bagian Bahasa. But more recently, let's say last 5 or 6 years, we particularly use so more like more flexible about the method. It's up to individual preference, but yes, we have attended a few illumination.
Okay. Well, it could be a huge topic, you know. if we are talking about the history of silent illumination, about the principles of silent illumination, about actual practice, you know. So these are all various ways in which we can we can talk about silent illumination. So what I think it's very important to know is that the very name silent illumination is derived from ancient Buddhist aspects of meditation, which are shamatha and vipassana. So silence and illumination are coming from those two terms, shamatha and vipassana, which means calming the mind and developing insight into the mind. So silence is actually calming the mind. It is calmness, and illumination refers to insight. So these are like synonyms, those two. Although we could say that there is a difference between how calmness is developed in early Buddhism from how the silence is developing in the context of silent illumination. And that is maybe the main, well, one of the differences between the two. But maybe I can come back later on to this point. So now I would just like to say that calmness and insight are the antidotes actually to the wild aspect of our mind and confused aspect of our mind. Okay, so there is a wildness and there is a confusion present in our minds. When I say wild or when I'm referring to this wild aspect of mind, I think on the fact that we are not controlling our minds really. And I'm sure everyone of us has experienced that in meditation. You have your method and you decide to sit in meditation and you decide to follow the method, and then, well, you are following it and you are not following it. The mind is not so obedient as we would like it to be. Okay, so this is what we call wild aspect of our minds. It's uncontrollability, or our inability to control the mind. So by developing shamatha, we are actually taking control over the mind. We are relaxing our mind. We allow our mind to settle down, and in a sense to become obedient. Okay, when we decide to stay with our method, we can stay with our method. Or if we decide to observe certain things in our environment or whatever, we can do continuously so. So once we place our mind on something, we can stay with that thing, observing it. So this is the meaning of calmness and overcoming of these wild aspects of our minds. Usually, it is achieved by concentration. So by concentrating our mind on a certain thing, eventually our mind will stop wandering around, and eventually we will be able to continuously abide on whatever we decide to abide on. Okay, so this calmness aspect is developed by concentration. And the calmness is a result of our mind not being with 1,000 other things, but being only with the one thing. Okay, so this is what we call calmness. Our mind is not calm when we think of 1,000 things, and when our mind is jumping from one thing or another continuously. So when we develop concentration, then there is this concentrated stream of mind flowing into one direction. Then mind becomes calm, and after we reach the point of deep concentration, actually we can enter into kind of unification, or one mind, as we are calling it in Chan. And that is a very important experience in the context of meditation practice. So we could say that shamatha has its goal in reaching samadhi state, in reaching one mind state, which again has various stages in it. We won't talk now about it, but it is like a progressively deeper and deeper stages of meditation. On the other hand, this mental confusion we can overcome by developing insight. And traditionally, it is done by practicing what in Buddhism is called four foundations of mindfulness. Which means mindfulness of body, mindfulness of sensations, mindfulness of thoughts, and mindfulness of any mental object. So this is how these four foundations is practiced. And traditionally also, shamatha and vipassana are practiced separately. So someone would first practice shamatha for a certain period of time until someone is able to calm the mind, to concentrate the mind, to calm the mind, and to reach unification. And then usually what follows is vipassana. So this is like a traditional manner in which these two aspects of meditation are practiced. As a difference from that, in silent illumination, silence and illumination are practiced together. They're practiced simultaneously. Ideally, they are practiced simultaneously. Okay, so this is the one of the important difference between the silent illumination and traditional approach to shamatha and vipassana. And another thing I already mentioned is that in shamatha we reach calmness or shamatha and unification, samadhi, by concentration on one thing, whatever that object might be. We can reach that calmness and that concentration, and as a result of that, unification by continuously abiding on one object of our meditation. Okay. And in silent illumination, when we talk about the silence, I said before that it is like a synonym with shamatha, and to a certain extent it is, but there is a difference, and difference is that in order to reach silence, as different from reaching calmness, we don't need to concentrate on one thing. Our mind can be open to whatever is arising, whether from our body, our mind, or our environment. The silence is reached by not responding to those things. Okay, so this is a huge difference in the way how the stability of mind is reached in one system and in another system. Okay, so silent illumination as a method is known, of course, in a Chan tradition. Well, from the time of Bodhidharma, we can find in various texts examples of silent illumination method. But that name, silent illumination, was given to the method on the basis of Master Hongqi's poem, I think in the 12th century. And another thing is that between the two schools of Chan, which are left, Linchi and Cao Tong, so Linchi on one side and Cao Tong on another, the silent illumination is somehow more connected with the Cao Tong sect, Cao Tong school. And Huato is more connected to Linchi. Although I think there are many examples of masters of both schools practicing both methods in history. So silent illumination is sometimes called method of no method. So it is called no method actually. And how we can understand that and why it is called no method. It is called so for the simple reason that silence and illumination represent the very nature of our minds. So if we are to describe the nature of our mind, we could, using these two words, we could say that nature is silent on the one hand, and that nature is illumination. And understanding the silent illumination in that way, we see that it represents the very nature of the method, represents the very nature of our mind. Therefore, we can go to it directly, and we can experience the very nature of our mind directly using this method in its way of understanding it, seeing it as a no method. All right. But in order to understand that, we have to explain a few things. So it is possible to go directly to nature of our mind, only if we can let go of all our attachments, if we can let go of all those things which are covering this nature, all those things which does not allow us to perceive this nature directly. Okay, so silent illumination is called no method for the reason that we don't do anything really practicing silent illumination. We practice silent illumination, but by stop doing anything. And by stop doing anything, we are actually allowing that nature to manifest. We are allowing that nature to become visible, and we can perceive it then. Okay, so these are, I know this might sound confusing somehow, but in its essence, silent illumination is really about not doing anything. You're simply aware. You're simply aware of whatever presents itself to your mind without responding to anything. And not responding to anything is precisely silence. And being clearly aware of anything that comes up is illumination. And when our mind becomes so silent, we see things differently. You know, from the perspective of silence, we can see what we normally can't see. And this is why that seeing is called illumination. When we illuminate things, when we see the very nature of things and phenomena, which is not possible to do as long as our mind is not silent. So silence is, on the other hand, absence of attachment to self. It is a kind of selflessness. So that there is no disattachment to self there, we see things as they are. And this seeing things as they are is actually illumination. Okay, so however confusing this may sound, I don't know how to explain the silent illumination not being a method. But on the other hand, we are calling a method. You know, we call silent illumination method, methodless method. So it is a very subtle method, and it's very difficult to approach it because it's very difficult, you know, suddenly being so open and without any thoughts, being clearly aware of whatever appears in front of us. That's not an easy thing to do. So therefore, we have to start from somewhere. And in order to help us start somewhere, Master Shengyen created a very, very efficient approach by learning us, teaching us actually to start, or to, well, he taught us entering into silent illumination by first becoming aware of our bodies. Okay, so instead of being aware of everything, we gave the parameters to our awareness, and we decided that we will start by being aware of the body sitting on a cushion. And that is our starting point. And that starting point is called, in silent illumination, is called just sitting. So it is like a first phase. Although it's not very appropriate to talk about the phases in silent illumination, because there are no real phases there. We can suddenly find ourselves very, very deep into it. But in order to orient ourselves, in order to start, it is easier way maybe to think of the process of practice in terms of those stages, okay? But we should not forget that these stages are not real stages. They are just a skillful mean, actually, to help us enter into practice and to help us understand the practice better. So I think that last time somebody asked me how to enter into silent illumination, so I was talking about various ways of entering into it. The first and the crucial thing is relaxation. That is the most important thing. So once we sit in a proper posture, the first thing for us to do is to become still, and then relaxing the whole body from the top of the head all the way down to the feet. And what is important to understand is this progression. The first posture has to be right, and then stillness has to be present, and only then we can relax fully. Okay, if our posture is not right, we won't be able to maintain stillness, and if we won't able to maintain stillness, we won't be able to relax. So this is like a cause and effect. Okay, there. So once we relax our body, we can enter into silent illumination by simply becoming aware of our whole body sitting there. Okay, after being totally relaxed, we expand our awareness to include our whole body, and we continue by simply knowing that from one moment to another that we are sitting there, being aware of our body. The second way is, after relaxation, we could proceed with the mindfulness of breath. We could continue by being mindful of breathing, usually at the area of the nostrils. We simply become aware of breathing in and breathing out, sensation of the breath at that place. And once our mind becomes very, very calm with very few wandering thoughts, naturally we will become aware of the body as a whole. Because the less and less our breath become perceptive, the more we will become aware of the body sitting there. And then our awareness from the breath expands to the whole body sitting there. So this is how we arrive on awareness of the body, or this is how we come to this first stage, which is called just sitting. Okay. So how we practice actually in this phase of just sitting? How we are actually practicing? What is it that we are doing or not doing, better to say, in at that stage? First of all, it might be at the beginning. It might be confusing, this concept of totality of the body, or awareness of the whole body. When people hear that they have to be aware of the whole body, sometimes it creates tension. What does it mean to be aware of the whole body? Does it mean I'm aware of my left ear and my right knee at the same time, and so on? So it's not quite clear where we are putting our mind on. Okay, so it might not be clear how to be aware of the totality of the body. And if that is the case, it means that our mind is not sufficiently calm yet. Because as mind becomes calmer, it's very natural to know the body as such is sitting there. It is a very, very natural. When mind is dispersed somehow, when our mind is restless, then we can't grasp that point. So we start to think where to place the mind, how to do that, and we become confused. So if you don't know how to be aware of the whole body, if it is not natural to be aware of the whole body, it means that we have to proceed either by relaxation for a while, or with the mindfulness of breathing. Because as I said earlier, when the mind is sufficiently calm, the awareness of the body is very natural. And it doesn't mean that we have to be aware of every single thing belonging to our body. It simply means that whatever we are aware of that. And that's our body. For that moment, that's totality of our body. As our mind becomes more and more clear, that awareness will include naturally more and more of our body, more details of our body. But that's not something to worry about. We should not worry about it. Okay. And what is the main principle of practice, or how we actually proceed? Okay, we are aware of the body, and what then? What is it that we do? There is one poem by Master Hongchi, which is called Admonition to Practice of Chan. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a very short poem, which is very, very helpful to understand actually how to use the method. And it presents the method in a very practical way, giving us the basic principles of practice and helping us to understand what this method is all about, and how we can actually using it. So there is one line there which goes something like, without encountering things, it knows. Without opposing conditions, it illumines. Okay, so this is one line from this poem, which actually represents the main principle of practice. Without encountering things, it knows. Without opposing conditions, it illumines. Okay, so what does it mean without encountering things it knows? It means that whatever is arising in our minds, in our bodies, and in environment, we are simply not responding to that. We are simply not giving any thoughts to that. Okay? As we are not responding to those stimuli which arises from mind, body, and environment, the mind becomes calmer and calmer and calmer. The mind becomes more and more silent, eventually entering into real deep silent state. But in the same time, as we are not contacting those things, we clearly know them. We clearly know them. We clearly know whatever is arising in our minds, in our bodies, and in our environment. We are clearly aware of that. And that's a difficult task. It's not easy. Okay, so that's why we at the beginning we are limiting our awareness on the area of the body. Okay, so we give parameters to our awareness, and we decide that we will be aware only of body. Okay, so in just sitting, we are fully aware that our body is sitting there. But whatever is arising in our body, whatever sensation comes up, we simply don't respond to that. We are not analyzing that. We are not comparing that. We are not connecting that with some memories we had from before, or any of those mental operations. Okay, we are simply staying with the full awareness of whatever is going on without commenting on anything. Okay, that's very important to understand. So we could say also that when we are aware of our whole body sitting there, whatever is arising in any part of the body, we are not looking at this totality. Okay? So it might happen that the pain in your knee starts, but you don't concentrate on that pain in your knee. You maintain this awareness of totality of your body. Okay? You know there is a sensation of pain arising in your knee, but you are not giving any thoughts to that. You are not commenting on that. You are not focusing on that. So that pain of the knee is simply one thing among the many things arising in your body at that moment. And you know the totality of the body, and you know that pain, but you are not focusing on it. You maintain that totality. So by maintaining this totality of awareness of our body, and by not focusing on a sensation which arises, we are actually creating condition in which there is less likely that we will start thinking about that pain, that we will react on that pain. Okay, because whenever mind focuses on something, actually that focusing on something in that totality, leaving totality and focusing on something is a result of discrimination. So our discriminative mind starts to work. It goes there and it says, oh, it's pain, it's terrible, I don't like it. You know, what can I do in order to stop it? And then you start to move. And your mind moved already, you know, so you're not anymore in what we call silent illumination state. Okay? Of course that in context of practice that will that is something which will be happening. Okay, so you practice and certain sensation in your body arises, or certain thoughts in your mind arises, and you will leave the totality, and you will be focusing on those things, and you will be reacting on those things. But the moment when we see that, we are coming back to that totality, awareness of the totality of body sitting there. So we let go of any comment, we let go of any interference into particular bodily sensations which arises, or mental reaction as well. Our comments, our thoughts, which that triggers, and so on and so on. So we are trying to be, from moment to moment, fully aware, fully present in our body, right here and now. And whenever our mind slips away from that, we are bringing it back. Okay, so this is how we use that principle of silent illumination. Without encountering things, it knows, and without opposing things, entering into kind of opposition to things, it illumines. Is that clear? All right. So what happens next? If somebody is able to really sit in a full awareness with the body which is fully relaxed, and the mind is continuously aware of the body, which is fully relaxed. So mind is relaxed, body is relaxed, and there is this union of mind and body there. The mind is fully aware of the body. And at a certain point, you don't know whether your mind knows the body which sits there, or your body knows your mind is sitting there. Okay? And at that point, what is happening is a kind of ecstasy almost, The mind and body starts to melt, to becoming one. And that is what completes the first phase of silent illumination. And the mind becomes so calm and so fully aware of the body, and the body is in the same time very relaxed. And there is no interference between the mind and the body, but simply awareness of whatever is there, sitting on a cushion, without interference, without I like this, I don't like that, without any kind of conflict in between them. They simply and naturally melt together, they join together, they become one. Because what makes this experience of body, how can I say that? When we practice, usually there is a time when we experience the difficulty with our bodies. Okay, there is a heaviness, there is a itchiness, there is a pain, there is all kind of things going on in the bodies as long as we sit. But that is actually a result. Well, it could be many things, but mainly it is a result of continual conflict between mind and body. Our impossibility to accept the body as it is at the moment, and stay away from any way of interference with it, simply accepting it and leaving it there to the cushion. Okay, because we are not able to do that, we feel our body as being very solid, very heavy, very problematic to certain things. We feel all kind of problems arising from the body. But when the mind and body melt together in practice, and I said already, it is a result of not interfering, it is a result of not being in conflict with it. We could say it's a result of fully accepting it, then the way we feel the body changes as well. We almost don't feel it at all. It's very light. It does not present any kind of problem to us, really. It's the body stops to be issue. It's there, it's there, but it's not in any way problem. It's not something you are in conflict with. Okay, and you can have actually feeling of complete disappearance of the body. You don't feel the body at all. It's there, but you don't feel it. There is no this strong, heavy feeling of the body anymore, because the relationship between mind and body has changed. And as a result of that, there is an absence of this strong sensation. So these strong sensations of the body are disappearing in that state. And then very naturally, as we were continuously aware of the body, or sensations of the body, once the body has disappeared, the sensation has disappeared, our mind is there. It's fully aware, but there is nothing to abide on. There is nothing to be aware of at that point. And then very naturally, we become aware of our environment. Okay, the body is not anymore issue, so very naturally our awareness expands into environment, and we become aware of whatever is around us. So whatever our senses can perceive, this is what we are aware of. And we continue using the same principle of practice. At that stage, mind is very, very silent, and very, very calm, and very bright in the same time. So when we become aware of our environment, we are very, very clearly aware of whatever is going on, because our mind is very much settled down and calm and clear. Okay, and then we apply the same principle without encountering things it knows, without opposing conditions it illumines, which means that again, whatever is arising in our environment, we are not reacting to that by thoughts, by thinking, by analyzing or comparing or remembering or anything. We simply know very clearly whatever is going on, and we are not responding to that. Okay, so this not responding, or without encountering, not entering in contact with whatever is arising, is actually, in other words, the fact that we are not introducing ourselves into whatever we are facing. We are not introducing ourselves. What does it mean, introducing ourselves? Well, it means we don't bring into consideration all our experience we have, previous experiences, our knowledge, and all kinds of things, our views and so on. We simply don't do that. Okay, so our mind, in that process, our mind stops discriminating between ourselves and the objects, and as that is happening, when we are simply aware of whatever is present, and our mind don't react by introducing ourselves through the thinking process of past, present, future, and so on, we continuously abide in the present moment. We enter into that present moment and we continually abide in present moment. And after a while, if we can do so, there is again the process of unification happening, or that is something which happens once we abide for a certain time into that state of not discriminating whatever we are aware of, and we are aware of the environment. So very naturally our mind and environment starts to merge, they become one. Okay, and when that happens, you can't really notice the difference anymore between inside and outside. It's quite a different way of experiencing environment from what we normally have. Okay, and it's very, very important in context of our practice. Finally, the things around us stops to be threat, and what we feel is actually an enormous feeling of acceptance and love, and we simply don't see a difference between ourselves and whatever we are hearing or seeing or touching. It is all us, and we are deeply into all those things. Well, the practice continues in the same way. So our mind from environment goes into what is beyond our senses. We become aware of the space as wider as it can get in that practice, unlimited space, and so on. But what is most important is that we understand the principle of practice, how we actually use silent illumination. And as I said earlier, we start with the body, and if we practice very naturally, at one point our awareness expands to environment. And when we start to contemplate environment, it is a much subtler kind of contemplation from the previous one. Okay, it's very subtle. The mind becomes very subtle, and the power of awareness becomes much stronger, and our ability to notice even the imperceptible thoughts in our mind arises. So this is how we actually are emptying the mind in the process. First, we start to empty our mind from the not so subtle aspect of our nature, of our being, and then we proceed to more and more subtle ones until we empty our mind. In the end, we contemplate emptiness, actually. Okay, so this is a process of silent illumination. In this process, silence and illumination has to come together. They have to be simultaneously present. And there is a simultaneous presence of mind, of silence and illumination. Once we can see things or see what our mind is doing, and in the same time we are not caught by it. Okay, when we can maintain freedom from being caught into whatever is happening at the moment. Well, this is a short presentation of some aspects of silent illumination. It's really amazing method. It's a wonderful method, and at the beginning it is maybe there is a difficulty of comprehending it, of understanding how to approach it, how to use it, and so on. But these difficulties are precisely the result of its simplicity. It's not because the method as such is complex or difficult or anything like that. Quite the contrary. It is so simple that we have, out of our complexities, we have a difficulty of grasping that simplicity. Like, for example, being aware of the whole body sitting there. There is nothing more simpler than that. Just noticing, just being aware of the fact that we are present here. That there is nothing simpler than that. But when our mind is very complex and not calm enough or sufficiently calm, then we are trying to make out of it something which only complicates situation. It does not simplify it. Okay, but maybe you have some questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Your explanation is very beautiful.
Thank you.
Time almost already up. Although actually I have just a question. But perhaps I want to mention one thing. Initially, you mentioned about the separation between samatha and vipassana. Gradual practice means samatha first, and then after attaining samatha, then start to sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but not completely. Your voice is coming up and going down somehow. But I can follow.
Okay, moment please. I will use. Is it better?
Yeah, continue talking.
Okay. I just want to mention one thing.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So the view that there is a separation between samatha and vipassana, or there is a gradual practice of samatha first and vipassana first. I think as our family, that means our Chan family or Mahayana family, seems to refer only one particular or one part of earlier Buddhist
tradition. What I mean is, usually it refers to Visuddhimagga oriented practice, but for the earlier Buddhist practice, actually more rich or more varied than that. I mean, for some earlier Buddhist practice, actually they also practice samatha and vipassana together, or they do not differentiate. They even do not differentiate between samatha and vipassana. They treated samatha and vipassana as a one practice. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is not exclusively a Chan approach. You know, we have in various Tibetan schools like Mahamudra and Dzogchen and so on. They all use in their own ways shamatha and vipassana together. So it is not that silent illumination is unique, or this practice of combining silence and illumination together is not unique to Chan. There are other schools who does that as well. But there is a different approach to practice, present in those systems from the one we use in Chan as well. So there are differences, but there are also things which are the same or very, very, very close to that.
And then for the approach of just sitting, for your personal practice or your experience in teaching students, is it or is it more practical, or is it more effective, or do you prefer to use just sitting directly, or you also have another option, like perhaps build the concentration more with a more distinctive object like the breath, or counting the breath, so the just sitting state could happen naturally by itself. Usually here in Indonesia, I will mention it as the state of just sitting. Usually I will mention it as you know and feel the whole body is sitting here in one unit, in one unison, but you just know for continuously for perhaps at least for several minutes, perhaps 10 minutes or 15 minutes, never forgetting about the body is sitting here, and you just feel continuously for at least, perhaps 15 minutes or 10 minutes. That usually I will refer the state of just sitting is like that. So do you teach also, do you teach directly to just sitting, or you also offer several another option?
No, well, it is said that silent illumination is a method in which we practice shamatha and vipassana together. But in actual practice, we all start in what I earlier called traditional way. We all somehow start with shamatha and then includes vipassana. And also for the preparation for silent illumination as such, we don't go straight into it. It's very rare. It is possible, but I think it's much better that we build a very strong and good foundation for that practice. And this good foundation for practice is building by well, having a good posture, learning how to have a good posture, and then learning how to relax the body thoroughly, and then by practicing mindfulness of breathing, through which we can calm the mind sufficiently and then move to silent illumination. In my experience, that is much more efficient and much more better way than rushing into, because some people think of silent illumination as a very advanced method, which it is, but for that reason they want to start immediately with advanced methods, which is not very wise thing to do. If somebody does not have a good foundation, there won't be much use of using advanced methods like a silent illumination or a Huato. So for both of those methods, foundation is I think very, very important, especially so for silent illumination. Because the Huato is a much more, how to say, concrete method. There is no doubt how to use it, and people can grasp it as soon as they learn about it. But it is not the same with silent illumination. We have to bring our mind to a certain level in which this practice can become very, very effective, but not from the very beginning. But again, there is a difference among the people. Some people can start building up foundation, and then they can suddenly find themselves in a silent illumination practice. So for some people this process is longer, for some people this process is shorter, but practice is what matters. Cultivation of mind is what matters. Whether we are using this method or that method, this is something which we have to check from time to time, whether the method we are using is appropriate physical and mental state at certain time. So we have to make corrections there, but other than that, what is most important is that we are practicing. Okay. Maybe anybody else have a question? Or
I think time's already up. We will save our question for next Thursday.
Okay.
Okay. Before we close the session. Okay. Zarko, please you lead us with the transcendental.
Okay. The text.
Thank you very much.
We pray for the flourishing of Buddha Dharma, for peace in the world, for the joy and contentment